I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Virgo for March 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog, lots of stuff new there since last month. And while you're there, you can see if I still have any slots in my astrology apprenticeship program, where I will teach you the brilliant science and art of astrology. So what's going on in the month of March? We've got the coming together of heavy hitters in the outer planets range. We've got run-ins with Jupiter and Pluto, Jupiter and Uranus. We're going to talk about the opportunities there. We have eclipse news still coming in, major life-changing news. If it's not happening to you, then I am very sure that you're looking around, you're saying, what the heck is going on here? People have got things going on like crazy from these eclipses. And we've got Venus retrograde, which we're going to talk about in depth as it relates to your sign. We have the new astrological year. Yay, Happy New Year. We also have the new astrological year kickoff party, which is the new moon in Aries on March 27th, which is the best day of the year besides your birthday to do a vision board, to plant the seeds for the things that you want in your future. So let's talk about Venus retrograde. We've been talking about Venus retrograde because the shadow period started at the end of January. Venus retrograde happens once every 18 months. That's when the planet Venus, which rules love and other relationships, money and everything having to do with it, and beauty and fashion and aesthetics, goes backwards. So this huge umbrella that covers so many things in life, which is Venus, is sleepy and introspective. And so there are a lot of things to know. So you can check out the extensive blogs on this topic on my website, anniehelpsyou.com. And we're going to talk about the specific placement of Venus retrograde for Virgo. So early degree placements, that means first 10 or so degrees of the sign, or if you're, first 10 degrees of the sign if you're watching for your rising sign, the first 10 degrees or 10 days of the birthday, 30-day birthday cycle. So the first 10 birthdays in Virgo are the early placements. And so you will experience this Venus retrograde predominantly in the 8th house. The middle and late degree placements are going to experience it predominantly in the 7th house. So we'll talk about what that looks like. When you have Venus retrograde in the 8th house, it has to do with other people's money. The 8th house is the house of other people's money. So, inheritances, family money, spousal money, partnership money, money that you won, sweepstakes, other winnings, things like that. It's 8th house, stocks, bonds, mysterious money, money that comes out of nowhere. This is, venture capitalism, money that is just from other people that benefits you somehow. Also, the study of esoteric topics is here. So psychology, even psychology and parapsychology and anything having to do with guides and spirits and things like that, fairies, put them all in here. This is, I call it the house of the whatnots, the things that are in different dimensions that not everyone is aware of, but those in the 8th house. So many things are going to come up involving this 8th house. So you might find that you decide you want to make money from one of these things, psychology, parapsychology, all of these things related to the 8th house, because Venus rules money. So something that was a passion of yours, you might be seriously thinking about making money from it, or if you made money from it in the past, you might decide or be playing with trying to get back to it. Some of the questions that you can ask are, how can you add more substance to your life and relationships? Scorpio is a very deep energy, it is not superficial. It's the furthest thing from superficial. So whether it's depth in your realities or depth in your relationship, these are the kind of things that the Venus retrograde are going to bring up. So if you're looking for money or financing, rather than trying to find new people to help you out, people from your past are going to be more conducive to what you're trying to do. Definitely issues with relationships are going to come up hardcore for all Virgo placements, because all the early, middle, and late degree placements are going to experience Venus, which rules love, retrograde in one or both of the houses that rule relationships, which are the 7th and the 8th houses. So you've got anything that was swept under the rug is coming out to be dealt with, and sometimes that can get really messy. That's why some people have an association with the Venus retrograde as being bad or negative, which I don't necessarily agree with. It just brings up undealt with stuff, and if you don't like to deal with your stuff, it's going to be negative for you. If you say, yeah, I want to deal with this stuff so it doesn't have to be there anymore, it can be quite positive for you. And sometimes magic returns from the past. Sometimes something that you put on a shelf that you forgot about or under a rug that you forgot about comes back and is awesome, you know? So the retrogrades bring things back from the past as it relates to the sign, the planet, and the house that we're talking about. So another good question you can ask is, how can I connect with powerful partners and create synergistic outcomes with your combined resources and efforts? So because of that strong focus for now, I'm giving you the affirmation, I attract amplified synergistic connections. You can see pretty versions of the affirmations that I create for you on my Instagram account. So I attract amplified synergistic connections. Some great things that it is great to focus on when Venus is retrograde in the 8th house are individual and couples counseling, a great way to use this energy. Re-exploring previous romantic or financial relationships without having a commitment or a title per se, just an exploration without a decision being made. Deep spiritual work of any kind, either alone or with somebody else. Studying or participating in anything involving mysteries or research or astrology. The 8th house is one of the houses of astrology. The other one is the 11th house, but the psychological aspect of astrology is placed in the 8th house. So if you're into astrology, this could be coming up for you here. So studying that, psychology, parapsychology, numerology, human design, tarot, any other divination tools, especially studying those with your partner or intending as a means to create a career in the future, because that's our Venus tilt, you know, is studying these things with an eye to Venus, you know, so having love or money involved. Connecting to your angels or guides, including fairies and other elementals. Tantric studies for personal or professional use. Doing things to help the magic return to current relationships. All things like that. So for the rest of you, you will have Venus predominantly retrograde in the 7th house. And there are some similar themes which have to do with relationships. So some great questions to ask here. In what ways do you perceive your current relationship is assisting your highest expression? In what ways do you think that or perceive that your current relationships, and that's all relationships, are hindering your highest expression? Are your perceptions correct, or are you reflecting your unresolved things onto the person? So how much of it is you? How much of it is them? I always say it's 100% of both. You know, it's 100% you and it's 100% them. It's not even 50-50. So how can you shift out of your negative patterns in relationship? And the study of the psychology and, you know, astrology and things like that, deep tools can be assistive there. How can you be better heard in relationship? How can you hear others better in relationship? How can you create win-win relationships? What do you want out of your relationships? This is another huge question to ask, because if you don't know what you want, it's very hard to get it. So the retrogrades bring up, especially in this, you know, this house, it brings up the question, what do you even want in relationship? You know, and then are you getting it? If not, how do you articulate that so that you have a better chance of getting it? What people from your past are you drawn to reconnect with? And who is coming back from your past to reconsider? So these are the things that are coming up for y'all. I want to go into more detail now about the general transits, because the themes of these outer planets coming together started at the end of last year. And this is the second part for both of these transits with Jupiter. And the last parts are going to be later into the fall. So we're in the middle of some major themes here. So I want to go into more details about that now. So I'm calling the theme of the month for the general transit. So this is relevant for all signs. Summon your inner badass. And what I imagine when I'm seeing the energies of March all coming together is a hero that is walking through a scene that we're observing, and there are difficulties coming at them, and they're standing tall and strong and confident and moving through and being triumphant at the end of the challenges. Every month brings challenges and opportunities and sweet spots. I see challenges always as opportunities. So a month that has more challenges in some ways can be a month full of more opportunities. You know, we have started to ask wrong questions in our lives, I think, or questions that cause us to experience life in a disempowered way. When we ask questions, what's going to happen in the stars that's going to stress me out, or tell me what's going to happen, these are disempowered questions. The questions we want to be asking astrology and in general is, help me understand what's going on here so that I can maximize the potentials for my highest expression. And that's what I focus on. So I want to help you ask different questions, and that's part of summoning your inner badass, because the more empowered questions you ask, the more of an empowered life you will live. So we've got multiple important aspects going on this month, and I'm going to go through them and how I think that we can most use them. There are also some lesser aspects that you definitely will feel, sweet days, challenging days, etc. A longer list of those that you can get when you sign up for my free email newsletter at anniehelpsyou.com. You'll get my monthly write-up, which includes a written version of the things that I touch on in the horoscope for the general transits, and it also includes more things that I don't have time to talk about. So if you have signed up for my email newsletter and you're not receiving it, it could be in your spam or social or events folders, because I do send them out every month. Okay, so the first aspect of the month is March 2nd, and this is Jupiter in Libra opposing Uranus in Aries, and this is happening at 20 degrees. So if you have planets near the 20 degrees, you're probably you're going to be affected more than these aspects without them, but globally everyone will still be experiencing this. So that expression, things come in threes, is astrological, and that's because often things that we're experiencing come from aspects in the sky, and these ones that are big long-term themes, they usually involve what I call the titans, the outer planets. It's like a sumo match between these planets that just carry a massive amount of power and a massive amount of potential. So when you have Jupiter, an outer planet, and Uranus, an outer planet, coming together in what could be considered a challenging aspect called an opposition, they're trying to find balance. An opposition is two opposing forces. They're antagonistic, but they can also become synergistic. So the more you can transcend whatever the issue is, the more those planets will work in synastry. So Jupiter wants to expand, and Uranus wants to innovate. Libra is the planet of the sign of we, and Aries is the sign of me. So we've got a me-we aspect of a theme trying to get things worked out that started at the end of December. And this is in March 2nd, it's the second pass. And then on September 27th, we have the final part of the story. These are like chapters in a story that are ongoing. So it's some sort of breaking free from constraints in relationships. And that's basically the theme. So we might perceive someone as limiting us, or someone might be perceiving us as limiting them. And maybe that is true. But what's probably more true is that we have limitations within us as far as how we can experience relationship, and we project that limitation on all of our relationships because it's coming from the inside. So you have an opportunity here to break free from your pattern within yourself, so you can stop enslaving your partner to play a certain role, and you can stop being attractive to those circumstances that are unfulfilling for you. So that's very exciting. So then on March 4th, we have Venus going retrograde. We've been talking about this for a while because the shadow period started at the end of January. And this transit only happens once every 18 months, and there's a lot that goes along with it. So definitely check out my Venus retrograde do's and don'ts blog and video. I'm also writing some other extensive Venus retrograde blogs that you can look for on my website, anniehelpsyou.com. And the basic gist of Venus retrograde is that Venus, we call Venus the triple goddess because she rules love, beauty, and money. So beauty also includes aesthetics in your environment, art, design, fashion, appearance, things like that. So she's going backwards, and when she goes backwards, it's a time to reconsider everything about love, beauty and money. It's a time to go back to old ideas, old things that worked, old clients. You know, many people will revisit previous relationships. People who are staying in the same relationship will revisit topics that came up in the past, for better and worse. Venus retrograde is not just a time where unresolved conflicts can come up, although that is definitely a theme. Anything swept under the rug in love, beauty, or money will come back up to be looked at. But it's also a time where lots of magic can return to those areas of life. You know, you can find money. You can have love return to a relationship where it had left. You know, you can find some riches with your self-esteem development, which is another important topic for this retrograde. So we've got that going on from March 4th through April 15th. And it's going to be retrograde from 13 degrees of Aries back to 26 degrees of Pisces. So in the, we talked about where the Venus retrograde is taking place in the house for your sign. For all signs, we will experience Venus retrograde in Aries, which is similar to the first house, or is the same as the first house retrograde, and 26 degrees of Pisces, which is the same as the 12th house retrograde. So depending on where your placements were for your sign, you might be having the same themes come up, or you might be having some additional themes come up. But the general story of Venus in Aries has to do with self-esteem. It's talking about appearance, fashion, you know, how you put yourself out into the world. Pisces has to do with hidden places. So this is a place where this hidden money can come to you, money that you didn't know that you had, or that you hid from yourself, or that was in the backdrop somehow. You know, it's just stuff from the past involving love, beauty, and money. That's the basic gist of Venus retrograde. So then on March 12th, we have a full moon at 22 degrees of Virgo. And full moons, the best way to manage full moons, I think, is to leave some space around them, because full moons are a time when our emotions just sort of shake off. You know, everything that we've been accumulating for the month coming to fullness is just a time to shake it off, like a dog shakes off water, you know? So often there's something dramatic, or there's something really cool going on that you want to be present for, you know? So I usually keep a little space around the full moons for whenever these manifestations come up, because the best way to deal with them is to be present with them. So Virgo rules health, your daily work, it rules pets. So it's possible that something involving those things could come to your attention, or need attention, or come up as a focus at this time. The full moon is also making quite a lot of aspects, opposing Mercury and Chiron, trining Pluto, and squaring Saturn. So we've got a lot of power at this full moon, I think, to overcome the energy of woundedness. And this is going to be a theme this month because of aspects with Chiron. Chiron is an asteroid that is called the Wounded Healer. And the idea of the Wounded Healer, or my understanding of the Wounded Healer, and as I've observed it through countless charts, is that it's a place of weakness. That deep place where if someone gets at that, then you don't know what comes out. It gets ugly, you know? It's a very wounded place, or a very weak place for you. So the idea of Chiron, the highest vibration, is that you strengthen, you focus your attention on that weakness or that vulnerability, and it becomes a strength. So that's the transcendent version. So like in the instance of the energy in Virgo, Virgo rules health. Maybe some people have health weaknesses. Maybe they have to work harder to attain health. And when that happens, they might wind up being healthier and staving off other health issues because they had a weakness that made them focus on their health. And if they didn't have that meticulous focus, then they could have created other problems maybe, or maybe they wind up teaching or helping people from it, or improving the lives of others because of what they've had to go through. So this is just an example of how you can take any woundedness that comes up this month or ever and convert it into something positive and powerful and supportive. So on March 20th, we have the beginning of the astrological new year. I never feel like the new year is starting on January 1st, especially when it's in the midst of a retrograde like it was this year and some other years. So March is when the planets start to move into Aries, and the planet of Aries, or the sign of Aries, is the baby of the zodiac. It's that bursting forth, that energy of spring, something new beginnings. So you'll see as the planets are moving into this sign, people get impulsive, they get excited, they get wild, they want to do stuff, they feel active. And this is the energy of New Year. So on March 27th, we have the new moon in Aries, and I always consider the new moon in Aries to be like the kickoff party for the New Year. You know, it's like the New Year starts around March 20th, and then when the new moon in Aries comes, it's like, yay, okay, it's a New Year, let's have a party. That's like New Year's Eve, you know. So this new moon in Aries, all the new moons in Aries, so the one new moon that we have in Aries a year, is the time, the best time of the whole year besides your birthday, to do vision boards or other seed planting for your future, things that you want in that upcoming year. So definitely take full advantage of that. This new moon also carries a lot of power. It's conjunct Chiron and Venus. It's a square Saturn, and it's coinciding with a Mars in Taurus and Neptune sextile, which is a 60-degree angle. It's a positive angle. So there's, again, a lot of power behind this moon phase. On March 30th, we have our last big aspect of the month, which is the second Jupiter square with Pluto. Similar to how we've been talking about this Jupiter opposition with Libra, how it happened once last year, so did this Jupiter and Pluto aspect. And this one's happening at 19 degrees. On November 24th of last year, this Jupiter and Pluto first pass happened. Now on March 30th, the second pass happens. And then on August 4th, the last pass will happen. So we've got these 3 chapters of this ongoing story. And one of the main themes, I think, of this ongoing story has to do with ambitions, rising ambitions, and the idea of competition and what we have to do or what we're willing to do or what we think we have to do to succeed. In a third dimensional reality, there is competition. There's focus on competition. And there are all of the energies that go along with competition. It's kind of gross, you know. It can be very, very low vibe and not conducive to conscious evolution to focus too much on the energy of competition. My suggestion, I invite you to use this energy to transcend competition and tune into divine timing and your divine path and purpose. So if you're out there doing what you're supposed to be doing and you feel like Spirit is guiding you and you're on track and you're speaking your truth or doing your truth, then it doesn't really matter what anyone else is doing. You will attract to you the people and the customers that will be perfect for you. And so really there's no competition on the spiritual plane. And this is an affirmation from Florence Scovel Shinn, who is one of my all-time favorite teachers. She's not in form anymore that I know of. She wasn't even when she came to me. She had passed a long time ago. So she was teaching about, she was actually teaching about Jesus's work as a metaphysician, teaching about transcending mundane reality while still in form, like bringing heaven onto earth in our experience. And that is an affirmation I got from her. So there's no competition on the spiritual plane. So if you are conducting yourself in a way that is high vibrational, if you are doing everything that is in sync with your beliefs and your values, then you can transcend this energy, you know? So you just check in with yourself and see how this is true for you, and just look out for it, because these themes are sometimes very subtle. You know, sometimes they come more into the forefront, but overall they're very subtle sometimes. So these are the main things that I'm seeing for the month for the general transit. So you have plenty of opportunities to summon your inner badass. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out my blogs. I have blogs on all different kinds of topics, not just astrology. If you want to learn astrology with me, then I might still have some slots available in my astrology apprenticeship program. If you want to bring your business online, check out my Creating Successful Online Business course. And if you would like to be a coach as your profession, then you can check out my coach certification course. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.